That's my car, I yelled as Linda Harper, our HOA president, stood there with a smug grin, watching her husband, Tom, deliberately send my grandmother's beloved 1967 Mustang rolling down the boat ramp into Cedar Lake. The cherry-red convertible hit the water with a splash and began its slow descent, swallowing 50 years of family history beneath the surface. Linda clutched her clipboard like a trophy, victorious at last. Section 14, Paragraph 7. Vintage vehicles must be stored in garages, she recited, her voice icy. Maybe next time your grandmother will follow the rules. What this power-obsessed HOA dictator didn't know was that 3 days ago, I'd quietly bought the entire subdivision sign every street, every house, including her precious mansion with its award-winning rose garden, a 8-time Yard of the Month champion. That morning, my 82-year-old grandmother, Evelyn, had been trembling, clutching Linda's latest yellow violation notice. I've had this car for 50 years, she whispered. Your grandfather proposed to me in it, Jake. I'd kept my property purchase a secret, planning to surprise her once the deal was final. But seeing Tom push that Mustang into the lake changed everything. It started like any other Tuesday. I was helping Evelyn unload groceries when I heard the sharp tap of heels on pavement. Linda Harper approached, clipboard in hand, her dark hair unmo-vying in the breeze. Mrs. Carter, she said, her tone dripping with fake kindness. Classic cars must be stored in garages, not driveways. Section 14, Paragraph 7. She waved a hand at the Mustang me grandfather's 25th anniversary gift to Evelyn. I'm just unloading groceries, Evelyn said. It'll be in the garage in 5 minutes. That's not the point, Linda snapped. Third violation this month. Due law 350 fine, effective immediately. I stepped forward, anger rising but my voice steady. The car isn't even parked. We're unloading it. Linda's eyes narrowed. And you are? Jake Carter. I'm staying with my grandmother while handling some business. I didn't mention that business was finalizing the purchase of the whole Pinewood Estates subdivision through my investment firm. Unless you're on the deed, this doesn't concern you, Linda sneered. Her harassment wasn't new, it had worsened since Evelyn opposed Linda's landscaping rules at the last meeting. Linda targeted anyone who defied her, like the Thompsons, fined due law $500 for their son's wheelchair ramp clashing with her aesthetic, or Mr. Lopez, forced to dismantle his late wife's memorial garden because Linda hated his angel statue. 6 months of discreet property buys had paid off 3 days earlier when I signed the final papers. My company now owned every inch of Pinewood Estates, including Linda's pristine home with its fancy 3-car garage. That evening, Mr. Lopez stopped by, eyes red. They're making me rip out Anna's roses now, he said, voice breaking. She planted them for our 40th anniversary. On what grounds? I asked, fury building. Non-native species. But Linda has the same roses in her garden. When I pointed that out, she said hers were exempt grandfathered in. The next morning, I found orange violation stickers on Evelyn's mailbox 2 inches too high, apparently. Later, Linda cited the Thompsons again when their son Sarah VYC dog barked at a bird. Noise violation, Section 17, she claimed. From my window, I saw her lackeys snapping photos of every tiny flaw in the homes of her critics, while her own violation sover-size signs, non-regulation fence, excessive water use never made it to the HOA minutes. I called my lawyer Max. How much longer until we can announce the ownership transfer? 3 days, Jake. I know you're impatient, but she cited an 82-year-old for unloading groceries. I cut in. She's forcing a widower to destroy his wife's garden. I'm done waiting. That afternoon, while Evelyn napped, I worked in the backyard. Engines roared. Peering over the fence, I saw Linda, Tom, and their friend Diane beside Evelyn's Mustang. Tom was in the driver's seat, door open. I dropped my phone and bolted around the house. By the time I reached the driveway, Tom had backed the car into the street. What are you doing? I shouted. That's private property. Linda waved a paper. Section 22 allows removal of persistent violations at the owner's expense. 3 citations this month. You can't just take someone's car. We're relocating it to the impound lot, she said coolly. Evelyn can retrieve it after paying the fines and towing fee. Tom revved the engine, grinning. The car my grandfather had cherished, that Evelyn adored, was being stolen under HOA pretense. "Stop this now," I warned, voice low. "You don't know who you're messing with." Diane laughed nervously. "Is that a threat?" Tom, note his aggression for the report. As Tom drove off, I grabbed my keys to follow. But he didn't head to an impound Lothy sped toward Cedar Lake. I trailed in my rental car, confused and furious. At the lake's boat ramp, Linda and Diane parked their SUV and stepped out, gesturing wildly at Tom. Something was off. I jumped out as Tom gunned the Mustang down the ramp, leaping out at the last second. The car rolled into the water with a massive splash. "No!" I screamed, racing to the edge. The convertible floated briefly before sinking, water flooding the open windows, decades of memories vanishing. Linda and Diane's smugness turned to shock. "Tom, what did you do?" Linda gasped. "The brakes, I couldn't stop it." Tom stammered, dripping wet. But I'd seen his smirk earlier. He'd meant to do it. As the Mustang vanished, my anger hardened into resolve. "You were supposed to take it to your cousin's garage," Linda hissed. "It was an accident," Tom insisted, glancing at me nervously. Sirens approached. I called Max. "Expedite the property transfer notices, everyone. And call the insurance about a 1967 Mustang driven into Cedar Lake." Linda overheard, paling. "Property transfer?" I smiled coldly. "As of Monday, I own Pinewood Estates, every street, every house, including yours." Police arrived, followed by a tow truck. Tom was cuffed for grand theft auto and property destruction. "This is a misunderstanding," Linda pleaded. "We were enforcing HOA rules." "By stealing a car and sinking it?" an officer asked, skeptical. Word spread fast. By night, neighbors texted, stunned about Tom's act and my ownership. Next morning, Linda marched the streets with a megaphone, rallying her allies. "This is a hostile takeover. He's ruining our values." Evelyn looked worried. "Jake, Mrs. Evans called. Did you buy the neighborhood?" "Yes, Grandma," I said, kissing her forehead. "I was tired of Linda bullying you and everyone else." The doorbell rang. Linda, Tom, out on bail, Diane, and a suited man, Conrad Blake, their lawyer, pushed inside. "Show us proof of this ownership," Linda demanded. I slid over the documents. "Pinewood Holdings owns all the land. You lease it, check your deeds." Conrad's face confirmed it. "What do you want?" Linda asked, voice small. "Money? Extortion." Evelyn stood. "He wants you to stop terrorizing people and replace my car your husband destroyed. It violat rules." Linda shot back. "Tom committed a crime," I said. "And as owner, I'm dissolving the HOA board and calling elections." That night, I held a community meeting. Residents cheered as I promised fair release, no more petty fines or harassment. Linda fought back, plastering for sale signs on Evelyn's lawn and warning of a property crash. She even got a news crew, crying about a corporate takeover. But Evelyn marched into the shot. Her husband sank my car for speaking against her. Neighbors joined, sharing their stories live on air. That evening, power cut out except at Linda's house. A neighbor's camera caught Tom cutting wires to punish dissenters. Arrested again for vandalism, he and Linda soon sold their home at a loss and left. I transferred the land to a community trust, ensuring no one could abuse power again. The neighborhood bloomed. Mr. Lopez rebuilt his garden. The Thompsons painted their ramp bright colors. Neighbors raised funds for a 1968 Mustang for Evelyn. On summer nights, she cruises while VYing to friends, a symbol of a stronger, kinder Pinewood Estates.